welcome to another episode of ELEV8 at Mdina Partners, where our guest Peter Grech, founder and CEO of Brandwagons, talks us through the story of how creating an outcome-oriented culture helps drive performance and engagement at the workplace. Today is a special series. It's the sibling series of the Mdina Partners podcast, because Pete is not only an incredible leader, but he's also lucky enough to be my big brother. And we've placed Steve right in the middle, so there's no sibling rivalry. It's going to be safe. Exactly, the referee. So Pete, we've been observing obviously what you've done at Brandwagon, and I think the culture is very much everything. Can you share the journey of how you've really worked on the Brandwagon work culture and how it's really fostered, the idea of output orientation?
Yeah, sure. Number one, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
It's great to be here. I'm not sure if as I said before, I'm not sure if I should be scared or petrified. But, yeah. So I think coming back to Brandwagon's culture, I mean, Brandwagon this year will turn 18, so we're officially adulting now. I can never say that we specifically set out to formulate a perfect culture, but we let the culture grow. And I think that's, in organizations, you need to nurture culture as opposed to control it. We're a very much sort of purpose-driven organization, so we've always been very, very clear about what our purpose was. And that's clear in our purpose statement, which is in pursuit of brand excellence, but also our tagline, which is for the love of brands. Everything that we do is about getting our team reach their highest potential so that they can serve our customers in the best way possible, so that our customers can eventually put brands out into the market, which serve their own customers well. So it's always, setting off with that in line, allowing, us to make sure that we employ the best possible people and take them to the best possible level of, of their highest kind of potential for them to really deliver that. Mm-hmm. So I think, as long as you can trust your team and as long as you can inspire your team, to get their best out every day and to give their best to their customers, to our clients, I think you automatically set the tone to where you want to go. On the other hand, there's also the element of, what is work in our whole kind of episode of life. Okay. And the reality is you spend much more time, at the office with your colleagues, with your clients. And I think it's really important that we understand that, we need to make sure that the kind of the place that we work, the people that we work with, the people that we work for in terms of our clients, are people who also inspire us, are people who make us want to do better. And so we have a very sort of casual culture. And we also, focus on 3 very simple principles, which are basically challenge everything, be brutally honest, and find a way. And the idea there is that as long as you speak your truth and you live your truth, you're who you are. Mm-hmm. You're very comfortable opening up with your colleagues. You automatically create this culture where people are very comfortable, and we really push people to make sure that they're really being honest with us and with themselves of how they're feeling, and I think that creates that culture, which also means that we enjoy working hard, but we also enjoy having a great time. So okay. I don't know, that kind of wraps up in a very long paragraph.
No, I think it brings it all together. That's it. I mean, I think, sadly, we still see quite a few companies focusing on hours of work and, the typical 8 to 5 and measuring that as an organization. How do you think you've managed to really create a culture which is focused on output? And possibly, I think my curiosity is, have you had to wean people off a system they were on before?
I think that's a really good question. And I think, number one, every different business has its own way of working, and it's very hard for us to just judge the way other people are doing their own things. The reality is, for us, fundamentally, it's just the output that's most important. Now, we have very, very clear processes to help our team work through every single step of the way to make sure that we're, dotting every I and crossing every T. However, we're all different people. So where we do our best thinking, where we do our best work, and the time we do our best work is very different to all of us. Okay, so, I'm a morning freak, so I wake up very early and I feel extremely productive, early in the morning. But I'm very productive when I'm out doing my runs or I'm out on my mountain bike or my motorbike, which means I come to work ready with a plan and an answer, and I just need to jot that down. I'm hopeless at concentrating during the daily hours. So I do my best work. I know when I do my best work, but there are other people who need to spend some quiet time, working alone. We're all different. So for us, it's definitely going to be about the output. We're very clear with our teams that, there are deadlines that need to be hit, and we're focused on, being on time every time with our clients, which means that we need to leave gaps so that if we need to go back and touch up, a project, we can. If we need to go back and we say, it's a good idea, but it's not excellent, we can spend more time working on it. Now, if you compare that to other organizations and other people, I think there is this change that's happening, I think, within every organization, that, look, nobody ever wakes up in the morning and wants to go to work and being told exactly what to do with their life. So unless we inspire people to do their best work and let them get on with it, and show them trust and confidence and give them the right tools to get the stuff done, quite frankly, if they're ready by midday and they want to go for a nice long liquid lunch, go for it. Have fun, enjoy it, and come back more rested tomorrow to work on the next project. If it's going to take you up to midnight, fine, it takes you up to midnight, but make sure you sleep in tomorrow. Don't come into work like a zombie.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, one, I think it makes sense with also the work you do, because it's a creative process. You can't rush that, and you can't force that into a schedule. But two, it's the measurement of the output rather than the measurement of you've clocked in, you've clocked out, and this makes sense. And I would definitely agree. I think my best work has happened at a cafe in a place, and this is probably, it's very confusing for the team that works around me, but to me, not being in an office space generally is, makes me play a lot more and allows me to create more. So this makes perfect sense. Okay, Steve, not insinuating that we're from a different generation, but we have seen the world change slightly in that we're seeing remote work coming through. We've seen different ways of working. I'm curious to see what thoughts you have on how to make this work, because you've very much, I think, started your career in one way of working and ending it in a totally different way.
I've seen enormous change in this. I think starting with looking at the whole subject of overtime. I've said for many years that I think in a few years' time, and I mean literally maybe even in 20 years' time, there's going to be people talking about this word overtime. What does it mean? People used to use it years ago to incentivize people to almost work longer hours, and almost incentivizing people not to be as efficient and productive as they should be in the hours. Exactly. I think sort of following on from what Peter was saying, that and nowadays I've seen many different organisations taking a look at this subject of how can we actually make our environment, our culture, a fun place to work, and they use the word trust, but I think a lot of employers are still struggling with actually fulfilling that. So they're talking about it, which is good, but I think they need to probably
It's a hard one to wean off, I would say.
Well,
I think if you're structured...
Pre-COVID, so obviously what's happened recently in these recent years, pre-COVID and now post-COVID, there's a big difference, I think, in that employers are realising that they don't have to have all their staff stuffed in an office from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 p.m, and asking them to get in early and stay later, I think that's definitely changing, and I hope we're going to see a big change in the future years. So.
Yes. I think it's a nice
if they follow what
Brandwagon have put together. I think what you're saying, Steve, makes perfect sense, because the reality is we're moving away from this idea of being a workaholic and really clocking in hours. And we're talking about engagement. I have an objective, I need to get there. I want to get there because I love the service I'm giving, and it makes me sometimes give more and sometimes give a bit less and strike the balance there. So linking to that, Pete, there is an element of weaning off, in a sense of we're getting used to a new normal. We're getting used to having our teams anywhere and everywhere, and people coming in and out of the office as possibly driven by their passion. How do you create a culture of trust, knowing you love your processes, you like things done properly? How do you make sure that trust is still there?
I think I think that the main point is being aware of how things really work. Okay.
Okay.
So we're not robots.
Absolutely not.
We can talk about, generative AI and helping us out, in making our work life easier. But the reality, we don't work like AI. I don't know anyone who is extremely productive on a Friday unless they've been off for the rest of the week. So even the thought of throwing really tough work to someone on a Friday afternoon is a terrible idea. Setting up a creative meeting or a workshop at 3:00 in the afternoon for most people is also a terrible idea. So I think understanding sort of the work that you do and when you're most productive, I think is really, really key. And then, kind of organizing the team and organizing the work that you do around the obvious. Most people are not happy on a Monday morning. I mean, unless they've had a terrible weekend. So I think it's also about planning on that. Coming to the trust issue. We talk about trust and we talk about, we need to trust our employees more. We also need to allow our employees to trust us. So what are our intentions? Have we made our intentions extremely clear?
Yes.
Do our team, are we switching away from the concept of human resources, which is a terrible description of the most important part of our team? We talk about these are the most important part of our business, our people, yeah. Are they your team or are they human resources? Are they your employees, slaves bound on a contract? Or are they people you collaborate with on a daily basis? So the trust goes both ways. If you don't trust your team, they're going to feel that. And they're probably not going to trust you either.
Yeah.
So I think it comes with leading by example. It comes down to giving your team all the tools that they need and giving them also empowering them to ask the questions when they're stuck.
Yes.
Letting them know it's fine. That if you are working from home and you're stuck, don't spend the whole day panicking about how the hell you're going to ask the question that I'm not inspired enough to ask. Just pick up whatever tool you use, whether that's Slack or Teams or Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever it is. People don't phone anymore. Just get in touch with somebody you trust and ask. And let's get the ball rolling again. One of the things which really helped us at Brandwagon is that we brought in a role as a traffic manager very earlier on. I think about 8 years ago, we employed our first traffic manager.
Okay.
So what does our traffic manager do? And big shout out to Marlies. Hey Marlies. So a traffic manager is somebody who understands the flow of business that's coming in.
Okay.
The output that's required by a specific deadline, and understands the science of how we work, because there is a science of who's productive on what days and who's going out on leave and who's going out on vacation and what are the sort of projects they've been working on, to understand where the projects are coming in and when they need to be sort of delivered. Pretty much. And if you want to avoid a collision, now whether that's a collision of deadlines or egos or stress,
Yes.
at least we can manage that. And that then comes down to, making sure that, within the team of traffic management, we also have project managers who really understand the flow of work that's coming in. And project managers are just there focusing on making sure that we're delivering our best work on time. They're not responsible on strategy. They're not responsible about delivering, the crazy fancy ideas, but they're responsible for making sure that the team is at its best to be in the room, whether that's real or virtual, to be able to perform at our best. And so I think what's been great about Brandwagon is understanding the science and the people. And I think, going under the lines of be the manager you wish you had.
Yes. Excellent. And this is all bringing it together in my mind. There's the element of moving from transaction to transformation. We're not clocking in and paying, but we are giving people, actually what you're saying is, we're giving people the opportunity to really play to their strengths. If I am more process-led and I'm great at the structure, then, traffic management is what I do. And then if I need to be playing, then I have someone who's playing to their strengths to help me keep in line, because I think this is also the biggest risk in the work you do. When you have a creative process, it's really hard to limit it to an output and the deadline, but having people in the right places, I think, is what allows you to succeed. Super. I like this traffic management role. I feel like I need a traffic manager personally.
I can see one coming.
Exactly. All right. So, Steve, I think something else that's interesting. So we're talking about the flexibility of work. And again, by no means are we meaning this is fluid and everybody makes their choices, but we're focusing on the output as the measurement. And we're also seeing mixes in the industry right now, where we have some organizations moving back into just being at the office, and we have some organizations being everywhere and still allowing remote work. From your view in this really beautiful helicopter you're always in, what do you think? What are your thoughts on how this is going to take us through to the future in your mind?
Okay, I mean, the term flexible working hours was something that's been around a long time, but that really meant, what did it really mean when you looked at it? It was, and I'm talking now of the sort of larger employers, where they gave their employees an opportunity to start either at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and leave at the respective 8 hours later, 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening. That's sort of now moved, I believe, and you've got this situation where people are working both at the office and remotely. And I'd like to think that what the future's going to be is where it's very clear what everybody's accountable for. I think, again, as Peter has said, this
output.
With the output, you've got the traffic managers managing, making sure that the work is going through the organisation properly, and that at the end of the day, the client is getting what the client's paid for and expecting. And we have a team of people around you, and I think it is the team of people that are clear what they're meant to be doing, and they do it, and they produce the result, whether they're in the office, whether they're at home, whether they're in the cafe, wherever they are, because with the technology these days, there is no need for everybody to be in this office from 9 to 5, And I think in some countries, I was looking at some research recently, it's the concept of also what is a typical working week, And I think now, with customer demands more than they've ever been, and expectations, I think the people providing that service, they just got to adapt and find ways of causing the team and the resources to actually deliver that service in the availability of 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, in certain cases.
Yeah. When we have cultures which are spread over spaces and different times, and people are not sitting in the same office at the same time, how do you make sure that people still come together, you're creating that culture of inclusion, and that people want to be together and collaborate?
Well, look, time and distance makes absolutely no difference anymore in the world that we live in. Okay, so the world is always on, and the kind of 24 hours doesn't make any difference where you are. So as long as there are some clear set objectives, and milestones that we need to hit, as long as we're there, present to hit them, I think that's key, and that's what's most important. So we have people with Brandwagons who live in Poland. We've got people who are moving to Ukraine, back to Ukraine. We've got people who are in London, people outside, London.
Okay.
We've got people in Amsterdam, but somebody who lives between Amsterdam and Greece. And we've also had one of our team who kind of, worked on a project, and he was at the office, at the airport in the morning, at the hotel in the afternoon, and at the stadium in the evening, working on the same project in different catch-ups. But for him, it was absolutely great, because he went to watch his favorite football team, without taking a day off.
Yeah.
He watched the match, got the red-eye flight back to Malta, and was back at the office. And for him, it was fantastic.
Perfect.
So I think it's about loyalty, what we're talking about. And loyalty comes from commitment, but loyalty comes from purpose. We talk about, we need to have passionate employees. So look at passionate employees. So let's get all these fancy offices and put chefs in them. Let's get the people back. Forget it. It's not what people want. It's not what people need.
Yes.
And it's ironic, because I love going to the office, and I've made sure that our office is, as nice as it ever wanted to be. But that works for me. And if it doesn't work for everybody else, it's fine. So you just need to adapt to the ways that we work. I think if we had to look at technology today has really allowed us to feel like we're exactly in the same room.
Yes.
Without being in the same room. So one of the Brandwagon partners has moved permanently to the UK and has been living there since 2020. And I meet him now more than when his office was about 15 meters away from mine.
Yeah.
Because we have a daily stand-up and we all catch up and all the partners meet up at the same time at lunch break. And sometimes, we're trashing through the kind of list of things that we need to get done. Other times we're just catching up over what did you do on the weekend?
Yeah.
And who cares?
You are proof of the pudding.
I am also proof of the pudding, yes. I'm a COO who's based in a different country.
Yeah, exactly.
On my
Different
own.
country.
Yes.
So
managing a team here.
Yeah.
I honestly believe it's all about what is the purpose of this organization? Do people really understand the vision of where we're trying to get to?
Yes.
And they understand what their role is in all of that.
Yeah.
Now it's fine and fancy for me to say that because we run a creative agency. We run a strategic creative agency. So it's not all the fancy and creative and people, brainstorming. People assume that we're just there sitting out on beanbags
You
and
get
doing
projects
nothing.
delivered.
We have to sit with clients and really understand what they're going through. So there are some people who have to be stuck,
True.
to either wherever the client is, and that could be virtually. I mean, we have a number of our clients who will never even meet physically.
Yeah.
And there are some people who can work literally from anywhere. Traffic manager can work from home as much as she can work from the office.
True.
Okay. So I think we need to understand what is the environment that we're trying to work in, what are we trying to deliver, and what is fundamentally the purpose of the brand that we work in. Full stop.
Yes. And use the purpose to bring people together.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
That's the inclusion. That's the collaboration. We're all for the same service.
Passion comes from purpose. Full stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't work the other way around.
Totally.
And then when people do need to get together, it's at least for a fun reason.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody
Yes,
together
yes.
and have a meeting, but also it's a chance to connect with each other.
True. Super. So bringing this all together, you're an 18-year-old company, and I think this is also the nice transition now. What challenges or opportunities do you foresee for Brandwagon taking yourselves into the future from a culture aspect?
Every couple of weeks or months, I ask my team if another agency had to crop up and take over what we do and beat us at our own game, what would they do? And the answer to that is who we need to become.
Okay.
So for me, it's, again, stick to the purpose, understand how you're going to remain relevant in the market, and just keep on focusing on that goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect way to close up.
Perfect. Super. I think this is a great tone to close this off on. So first of all, thank you, Peter, for joining. I'm really impressed. There's a bowl of chocolates right in front of us and none of us have fought for it. So Steve, referee roll. But as soon as the camera goes off, I want the purple one. But thank you, Peter, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your insights. And thank you for listening to us. If you've enjoyed this episode, of course, I'll encourage you to subscribe. We truly believe that the journey to success is even better when shared. Until next time, thank you.